Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to our morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we will be continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, verse 28. And the chapter is entitled The Departure of Lord Krishna to Dwarka. And we will be hearing from His Holiness Candramauli Swami. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you. All glories to you. And thank you for coming on again. You give me life every time
Maharaj, you give me the life to push on whenever I see you, Maharaj.
Okay, we're reflecting.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, verse number 28. Nun namrata snana huta dinishvara samarchitam yasya grihita panibihi vibhatya sakya dharamritam mahur rajastriyam sammamuhur yarastayaha. O friends, just think of his wives whose hands he has accepted, how they must have undergone vows, baths, fire sacrifices, and perfect worship of the Lord of the universe, constantly relish now the nectar of his lips by kissing. The damsels of Rajabhumi would often faint just by expecting such favors. Purport. Religious rites prescribed in the scriptures are meant to purify the mundane qualities of the conditioned souls, to enable them to be gradually promoted to the stage of rendering transcendental service unto the Supreme Lord. Attainment of the stage of pure spiritual life is the highest perfection. And this stage is called Swarupa, or the factual identity of the living being. Liberation means renovation of this stage of Swarup. In that perfect stage of Swarup, the living being is established in 5 phases of loving service, one of which is the stage of Madhurya Ras, or the humor of conjugal love. The Lord is always perfect in himself, and thus he has no hankering for himself. He, however, becomes a master, a friend, a son, or a husband, to fulfill the intense love of the devotee concerned. Herein, 2 classes of devotees of the Lord are mentioned in the stage of conjugal love. One is Swakiya and the other is Parakiya. Both of them are in conjugal love with the personality of Godhead Krishna. The queens at Dwarka were Swakiya, or duly married wives, but the damsels of Braj were young friends of the Lord while he was married. The Lord stayed in Vrindavan till the age of 16, and his friendly relationship with the neighboring girls were in terms of Parakiya. These girls, as well as the queens, underwent severe penances by taking vows, bathing, and offering sacrifices in the fire, as prescribed in the scriptures. The rites, as they are not in an end in themselves, nor are fruit of action, culture of knowledge, of perfection and mystic powers, ends in themselves. They are all means to attain the highest stage of Sarup, to a rental constitutional transcendental service to the Lord. Each and every living being has in his individual position one of the five mentioned different kinds of reciprocating means with the Lord, and in one's pure spiritual form of Sarup, the relation becomes manifest without mundane affinity. The kissing of the Lord, either by his wives or his young girlfriends who aspire to have the Lord as their fiancé, is not any mundane perverted quality. Had such things been mundane, a liberty soul like Sukadev would not have taken the trouble to relish them, nor would Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have been inclined to participate in those subjects after renouncing worldly life. The stage is earned after many lives' penances. Om Gyantamidandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasnaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Here we say Sasunya Vati Pastyakya De Sitarini Vansha Kalpa Guru Vishya Kripa Sindhi Vaishnave Yo Namaho Namaho Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. So as above and so below, or we might even say that this world is a reflection. It's also sometimes called a perverted reflection of the reality of the spiritual world. For Krishna is a supreme lover. As we see in this material world, there are people who have relationships as friends, as servants to masters, as parents to children, children to parents, and also as lovers. These different relationships we see here in the material world have their origin in the spiritual world. Here is a reflection of the reality. The only difference is the Lord is the substance of that relationship. And here, the mundane desire to enjoy the senses becomes the means by which people connect together. Of course, these things are natural in the material world, but the essence of that relationship doesn't contain the substance that is there in the spiritual world. And so sometimes it's compared that the loving relationship between Krishna and his devotees in the spiritual world and what we would see here exactly in the same mood or the same expression is compared to two types of metals. One is called gold and the other one is iron. Gold is rare and precious and desirable. Iron is base and very much easily available. Iron has no value, hardly any, but gold is very valuable. So seeing the same thing happening on two different levels, if one compares them to be the same, as here we see in the very end of this purport, it describes that If these things that we're being described in relationship to Krishna, his relationships with his devotees, especially here has been emphasized in Madhurya Ras. In the Madhurya Ras, there is two aspects. One is called Swakiya, married, and one is called Parakiya, which is lawless love. In the material world, Swakiya is accepted as civil, moral, and desirable. In the material world, Parakiya, if someone has a relationship with someone outside of their husband or wife, that is called lawless love, and it's considered to be somewhat degraded or debauched. And it's not, but in the spiritual world, the opposite exists. That in the spiritual world, the Parakiya Ras is an exciting aspect of devotion where everyone has a loving relationship with Krishna eternally. But they also adopt a type of relationship that looks similar to what is here in the material world. They also have their family members. And Krishna becomes the focus of everyone, and therefore even those who are married in the spiritual world, at least in the sense of the Leela that they are playing, they still break that relationship and seek out Krishna in various types of loving relationships. And that is considered to be the highest because it has more flavor to it than what we say married life. This is what goes on in the spiritual world. But Krishna is the object, and that's the most important thing. But another thing that is essential for devotees to understand, we cannot compare the activities of the conditioned souls in these relationships in the material world to what goes on with Krishna and his eternal associates in the spiritual world. Because in the spiritual world, everything is pure and free from personal desires. Everything is centered around giving pleasure to Krishna. And Krishna is also centered around giving pleasure to all of his loving parts and parcels in the spiritual world. So there's no lust, there's no personal desire for enjoyment. Everything is centered around giving pleasure to each other. And this is the land of pure love. So these loving relationships take the part of friend, parent, lover, and sometimes just ordinary service to each other. It's not ordinary, but service to each other. And so therefore we can understand that this is the desirable. In this material world, people come together based on some kind of material mutual exchange. And we see relationships break apart quite easily in this material world or become less and less, what we say, strong over the course of time because the motivation is personal interest. Where in spiritual life, the motivation is to satisfy Krishna and to satisfy Krishna's parts and parcels. So everyone is thinking about the benefit of another, and no one is thinking about the happiness that they will get. But because that is the nature of love, when someone serves someone to give that person pleasure without any personal desire for their own pleasure, they also enjoy automatically. That is the nature of love. And therefore, it says that when the gopis are assisting Srimati Radharani by arranging for her to be with Krishna in different ways, this is their service, not the gopis, but the manjaris. The manjaris are the younger girls who assist the gopis in their relationship with Krishna, and especially in Srimati Radharani. So when Radharani enjoys with Krishna, they also feel the same happiness that she experiences. And this is mentioned in the Shastras by the Acharyas, that because they are intimately connected with Radharani's love for Krishna by arranging that relationship, they also enjoy just as much as Radharani does, or any other gopi that is with Krishna automatically. So no one is motivated for their own personal interest, but yes, everyone is enjoying on the highest level of spiritual perfection. And this only can be done in relationship to Krishna, because Krishna has nothing to gain from anything. He simply is a person who wants to exchange love with his parts and parcels in different ways. That is his essential mood. And the gopis of Vrindavan are the pinnacle of giving Krishna transcendental pleasure. And that of all of the gopis, Srimati Radharani is perfection personified. Her love for Krishna is not describable or understandable by anyone, not even Krishna himself. Therefore, Krishna is simply overwhelmed and fascinated and completely attracted to the love of Radharani. He even loses his own sensibilities in relationship to Radharani, where he becomes completely captivated in a very bewildering way simply by her perfection of loving relationship. And that's Srimati Radharani. And so those who assist Radharani in bringing Krishna together with Radharani enjoy just as much as the divine couple. And that is the duty of the Manjaris. The gopis, they also enjoy with Krishna, but not as much as Srimati Radharani does, because her love for Krishna is on the highest platform. It cannot be, to try to describe it would be pretentious and foolish and would be a sign of ignorance. It cannot be described. It can only be appreciated and glorified. Even Krishna doesn't know the true extent of her loving perfection. So here, and this is what the spiritual world is about. In this material world, everyone is looking for love, because love is the foundation of all happiness. You'll see a person will do anything to develop a loving relationship with another person. And if there is some success in that relationship, they consider their life to be happy and successful. But in this material world, it's not possible to reach perfection, because everything is fraught with temporality, and also the motivations that the living entities enter into relationships are based on personal interest. And personal interests do not last, and they somehow break or weaken the relationship as time goes on. Of course, if one is engaged in devotional service, they transcend personal interest, and they are simply engaged. And therefore, we see even in our Krishna conscious society, devotees have been married for 50 years and have wonderful relationships with their partners. Why? Because they keep Krishna in the center. They keep devotional principles as the motivation for all their activities in life. So here we get a little insight of a little bit about the sweetness of relationship with Krishna, especially in the mood of Madhurya Ras. Each of the rasas have an element of progression as you go from one ras to another. In the neutrality ras, there is some happiness. In Dasya ras, there's a little more happiness. In Sakya, it's increased. In Vatsalya, it's even greater. In Madhurya, it is the greatest and contains the highest form of transcendental bliss in relationship to Krishna. And Krishna is unlimited in all aspects of himself. Therefore, he has unlimited love for the living entities who are his parts and parcels. This is a little we can meditate on. There are many books by the Goswamis. There's a nice series by Shivaram Maharaj called the Vrindavan series, where he touches a lot on these points of loving relationship with Krishna in different rasas, especially Madhurya Ras. It's recommended reading by devotees. Of course, we have Srila Prabhupada And before we can really get an understanding of this higher knowledge, we should very carefully read and understand the process of pure devotional service. And that requires entering into the books that Srila Prabhupada has given us. Particularly in this case is Nectar Devotion. Srila Prabhupada has emphasized the importance of devotees reading and studying that book and understanding Nectar Devotion. Nectar Devotion is a personification of Srimati Radharani. It is the literary expression of pure devotional service. It is the science of pure bhakti in a very concise but a very direct understanding. So one should read and study. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada in one lecture said, read it once, read it twice, read it thrice. He emphasized the importance of reading and studying and understanding this science as given by Srila Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami is empowered as our the Abhideya Acharya, the Acharya who teaches the science of pure devotional service. That science is divided into two sections, rules and regulations and spontaneous loving service to the Lord. Therefore, when one practices devotional service, one enters into the mood of following the rules and regulations given in the Shastras and explained by the spiritual teachers. And as gradually when one makes progress by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, engaging in devotional service, they traverse or to the different stages of bhakti. When they come to the higher stages of bhakti, like ruchi, and ashakti, then natural, spontaneous love for Krishna starts to awaken, and one becomes fixed in rendering devotional service to Krishna in a particular mood based on their relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world. That course, that comes on the level of bhava, which is the 8th of the 9th stages of bhakti. But bhakti is a great science, and if one carefully executes the process as given by the acharyas and follows strictly the rules and regulations given by the spiritual masters, one will develop love for Krishna, spontaneous, natural attraction for Krishna and loving relationships, based on one's individual identity, which will be reflected in the essence of their devotional service. So that whole science is there. It's explained in Nectar Devotion, also in Jaiva Dharma, by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and of course, His Holiness Shiva Ram Maharaj has done a wonderful and most amazing and then very important service by delineating all of these scriptures by the acharyas and putting together for us to easily understand the science of bhakti from the very beginning, Adaustrada, Sadhu, Sangha, Bhajana, Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhava, and Prema, all the way up to loving relationships to Krishna, which is ultimately the only goal of devotional service. Prema Pumartha Mahan is to love Krishna. And that is natural. That is the soul's proclivity, the soul's natural existence. And by carefully reading, studying, and applying and associating with devotees, following the process, one can come to that stage. Bhakti is not some sentiment according to how you feel from day to day. It has nothing to do with how you feel. It is a very exact science of executing our the religious principles in guidance by the scriptures and by the spiritual master. If one follows that carefully and has a strong desire to awaken their love for Krishna, gradually in due course of time they will achieve success, even in this life. Okay, so Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a really deep class. And I'm sure that's going to be questions. I know I have already a couple of questions in my mind, but would like to ask devotees If you have any questions about this really deep, amazing topic, I'm going to stop sharing. That way I can see everybody, and we'll also request devotees if you could please turn on your videos, and so that we can have each other's association, and also we can see Maharaj and Maharaj can see us. So if you have any questions, please do raise your hand. That way I don't miss anybody. Yes, Sridevi, please go ahead.
Thank you, Anasuya. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Guru Maharaj, that pointing out that bhakti is a great science, that one must very carefully follow the process and one will achieve the result. We tend to get discouraged sometimes from time to time, especially when we are in the stage of anartha nivritti. And so I would like to know, how can we hasten or shorten this phase of anartha nivritti and come to nishtha?
Well, the process is there, or you can accelerate the process by qualifying or perfecting the execution of your devotional service, especially hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. But it's important that we regularly hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, from our spiritual master, from Srila Prabhupada, and understand the process as given by the acharyas, and learn how to apply the different principles in our day-to-day life. If we're still looking towards the material world for some kind of satisfaction, we will not be able to become serious in the execution of our devotional service. Prabhupada says, bhakti begins when we no longer have a desire to enjoy this material world. Even if you have that desire, you shouldn't act upon it.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. I was in ISKCON Juhu, and Bhima Prabhu was talking, and Bhima Prabhu said that everything for Krishna, nothing for me. And he repeated that quite a few times in the lecture. And he said, this is how we must slowly reach that point. Everything for you, Krishna, like that.
Well, the thing is, we're connected to Krishna. We can't be separated from Krishna. Separation is simply a feature of the mind's illusion, that's it. And if you're pleasing Krishna, you're going to be pleased. If you're making Krishna happy, you're also going to feel happy. Your connection with Krishna is your connection with your own desires to find satisfaction and happiness in this world. It's not separate. But the thing is, don't put the cart before the horse. Put Krishna first, and automatically everything follows nicely. You can't do that in the material world because we can't really depend on the living entities to be perfect. No one in this material world is perfect, but Krishna is perfect. Therefore, when we serve Krishna, automatically we do the highest service for ourselves. But in the material world, we expect reciprocation. And sometimes people can't or won't reciprocate, or reciprocate in a way that is not pleasing. But with Krishna, everything's perfect. So when you say everything for Krishna, then you're doing the best thing for yourself. Because he is everything. It's not the absolute truth is the supreme manifestation of everything in existence, both personal and impersonal. Krishna is everything.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, this is, I mean, if you want, I can quote scriptures based on this point. that the absolute truth is the foundation for all existence. Everything comes, Krishna says, everything comes from me. The wise who know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Everything that he says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matat sarvam pravartante. Iti mitva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samant. I am the source of everything, material and spiritual. Everything comes from me. The wise who know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So this is the process. We still have to struggle with our anarthas, but if we keep Krishna, devotion to Krishna foremost, the anarthas gradually will diminish and be replaced by higher consciousness.
Maharaj, so what I'm gathering from the first few sentences that you mentioned, Maharaj, is that the more that we engage in devotional service, the more we are cleaning out our narthas, Maharaj. Is that how it works?
Well, the science of devotional service is given. And what is the essence of that science? To hear and chant the glories of the Lord, to serve those who are in relationship to serving the Lord, the Vaishnavas, especially the spiritual master, and to follow the restrictions that's given in the Shastras. So there are what is called the principles of devotion. Nectar of Devotion, and I think chapter number 10 has listed 64 rules and regulations. Some of them are vidis and some of them are nishedas. Some are things to do and some things to avoid. We find that devotees have a clear understanding of what to do, but they constantly fall in doing the wrong things. They make mistakes, they commit offenses, and therefore that waters down their taste in devotional service and blocks their progress in devotional service. We have to be careful to understand what to avoid that will trip us up or block our progress in devotional service. And the biggest thing is committing offenses against Vaishnavas. That is the biggest obstacle. We have to be very careful to avoid that. And follow the recommended activities in devotional service. And Prabhupada would say chant 16 rounds every day, but in one statement to one leader in Krishna, he said chant 16 good rounds. And not just 16 rounds, but 16 good rounds. So try to make your rounds good. And if you try to make your rounds good, you will improve. If you're not trying to improve the quality of your chanting, then you'll stagnate. You should be trying to improve the quality of your chanting, the quality of your relationships, the quality of the activities you perform in devotional service. This is like a cultivation. We plant the seed of bhakti and then we cultivate the plant. Cultivating of the plant means watering it with hearing and chanting. As the plant grows, we ask them to be careful that the weeds don't grow along with the plant. Therefore, one has to be careful to notice the weeds and to avoid them by plucking out the weeds. And that's mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. What are those weeds? Pratishta, puja, offenses against Vaishnavas. So unless we know what to avoid and carefully avoid it, the efforts that we make in our practice of devotional service will have very little or any benefit. So therefore, we have to read the scriptures and hear from the spiritual teachers. What to avoid.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Before I ask my next question, I'm going to ask devotees if they have any questions first. If you have any questions, please do raise your hand and I can call upon you if, in the right order. Looking down the list here, if there's any raised hands, did I miss somebody? I feel like when this thing changes, I feel like I'm going to miss somebody. Maharaj, there's another point that you mentioned in your class, and I just want a clarification from my understanding, Maharaj. And I'm trying to see if I say properly. When you were talking about the books by Shivaram Swami, and then you said that something like one should first understand the science of, I wrote it down, the science of pure devotional service first by reading Srila Prabhupada's books like Nectar of Devotion. And I'm thinking much, and please let me know if I'm saying it wrongly.
Mataji,
I'm thinking.
Guru Maharaj said to wait.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, the little interruption there.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marge. In one of your classes, one of your points this morning, Marge, you were talking about one should first read Srila Prabhupada's books to understand the science of devotion, pure devotional service, and one of it you mentioned was Nectar of Devotion. I'm assuming, Marge, and please let me know if I'm wrong, I'm thinking for like new devotees or newcomers. And if that's the case, Marge, Nectar of Devotion is what I've told is that the Bhakta Handbook. I've heard that term before, but it's also pretty deep. Is it too deep, Maharaj, for newcomers, new devotees, or it's okay?
Well, it's a summary of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is the actual text. And Prabhupada has taken the text and summarized it and given the essence of that text. The first 19 chapters are called the first wave. There's 4 waves. If one reads carefully the first 19 chapters and studies and gets an understanding of that, then I think that's sufficient enough information by which one can clearly execute devotional service without any, what we say, wrong activity. The first 19 chapters. And then, of course, there's 3 other sections which go deeper into the whole process of pure devotional service. But when I began Krishna consciousness in New Vrindavan, one of the things that we did regularly is we had, when the devotees were taking prasadam, somebody would read during the time. So everyone would be sitting and taking prasadam, serving would be going on, and someone would be reading. And that was one of my services when I first joined. And the first book that I was reading was Nectar of Instructions. I'm sorry, Nectar of Devotion. And it was fortunate because it was a service that I had to do to the devotees. There was an opportunity to read one of the most important books at that time. It still is. So I was able to read it continuously for 5 consecutive times. The entire book, doing it as a service to the devotees for lunch. And other devotees, we would also read, like Chaitanya, we would read teachings of Lord Chaitanya, like for breakfast and different meals. We had different types of scriptures being read at the time. So Prabhupada really, the foundation by which we execute devotional service is knowledge. We have to have that understanding. And even if we can't, we're not so intellectual to understand scriptures, we should be hearing regularly from the spiritual teachers and getting clarification and asking questions based on them, on our execution of devotional service. So we have to stay in contact with sources of knowledge, either the acharyas, the scriptures, or the spiritual teachers. And all of them basically are in line with each other. But the essence is Guru.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Yeah.
That helped. Thank you.
And
Yes, Mother Scarlet. I'm sorry, Maharaj.
yeah, this knowledge is really quite, it's elevating. It's a source of happiness, and it awakens spiritual intelligence. But that's one of the downfalls of our society. Although we have so much literature available, we don't take enough time to read and study, or we think that just by doing activities in devotional service, that's enough. We need to hear regularly and understand. Why did Prabhupada write so many books? He did it for the devotees. He even said that these books are for the devotees.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. And it's so true. And I think I remember, I think it was either Malati, Mother Malati, Malati Prabhu. One time she was sharing that. I think it was her class. I'm trying to remember that she was saying, or that speaker was saying that it's so important that we take time to read books, and especially to hold the books in our hand, to feel the potency more than just doing it online reading, the ebook or whatever they call it. Because she said there's more potency in holding it.
There is, the book is non-different than the Lord. That's why even times we take the book and we put it on the altar, we put a garland around it. We also do puja to these books too. Bhagavatam is non-different than Shri Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita is non-different than Lord Chaitanya. Nectar Devotion is non-different than Srimati Radharani. But these are incarnations of these transcendental personalities in the form of literature.
Thank you, Mars. Thank you so much. Mother Scarlet, please go ahead, Mother.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your holiness, and all glories to all assembled devotees. I have a question about the devotional service. What if a person cannot do devotional service in temple because of physical hindrance, because of the health, can't do anything more than just walk around? And for instance, in my case, I just distribute book because physically there are so many things I can't do. It's impossible. So what if that? Is it still, what can I do more than that so that it could be called like devotional service?
Well, there is a statement that you should understand. And that statement is that there is no material impediments for devotional service. If you can understand that statement, then you can understand that there are so many activities that one can perform, even in a marginalized position, such as physical health. So just think about what you can do. There's so many things you can do. And the more you think about the things you can do, the more you'll get ideas. And pretty soon you'll have more things to do than you have time.
I do, for instance, garland, but it feels that it's not enough.
Well, how do you know?
I don't know. I see everybody else running in the kitchen and in the restaurant and do so many things, and I'm just doing garden and then finished.
What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita 9:26? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta pranashyati. Tadaham bhakta uparitam tasnami payatat manaha. Just offer me a leaf, a flower, fruit, and a little water with love, and I will accept. So when things are done with devotion, even if they're considered to be very insignificant articles in the material world, such as flowers and fruits and leaves, if it's done with love, it's bhakti. And Krishna accepts the bhakti. He doesn't need, even if a person is thinking, well, I have so much wealth and I'll give Krishna a big donation and then he'll be pleased. But if there's no bhakti there, he doesn't care about your donation. He doesn't need it. He's the one that gave you the money in the first place.
Exactly. Nothing is mine. So how can I say I offer? Nothing is mine. What is it to offer? I don't have anything. Or
Okay.
everything is his.
Yeah, you offer your love, that's all.
Okay. That's easy. Thank you.
In the scriptures, it talks about worship of the Ganges, process for worshiping the Mother Ganges. So you go to Mother Ganges, you scoop up some water from Mother Ganges, and gradually you pour the water back into the Ganges and offer prayer. And that is worship of the Ganges. So what does Ganges have to do? What does she have to do with getting her own water back? But the idea is it's the prayer and the offering together that is pleasing. That is the essence of the worship.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Mother Srimati, go ahead.
Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All rest assured, Prabhupada. Thank you for the class, Guru Maharaj. And you were talking about making mistakes, and devotees making mistakes, and also about you were talking about cultivating the seed of bhakti. So I was thinking, like, nowadays I am getting acquainted or in touch with new people, brand new people. They are interested in coming into Krishna consciousness. So I am little, I don't know how to approach. And I was thinking, like, I should not make any mistake so that they'll completely shut off or they'll not go back. Their interest will go off. So, and also at the same time, I connected them to some senior devotees here, but I want to help them in some way. I don't know from where to start. I was asking the same with Anasuya Mataji too. So I just need your guidance or little help in that, Guru Maharaj.
Just pray to Krishna. Oh, dear Krishna, I'm trying to reach these from the devotional service. Please guide me. Please help me to somehow or other attract them to your love and service. And if you pray to Krishna, Krishna will give you intelligence.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yeah.
Now, prayer is one of the 9 processes of bhakti.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
It's just as good as hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping. Prayer is a part of bhakti. It's called vandanam.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Sure. I'll do that. Thank you so much. And also, one more thing I want to share. Like if you were saying that when Sridevi Mataji was asking that you feel blissful, you feel happy when you give Krishna to others. So that same feeling I had last night. So I was so happy that that was my first class. I gave class yesterday in Bhakti Vriksha. So, and that was my first class with live audience. I was so nervous in the beginning, but Krishna helped me and I prayed to you, Guru Maharaj. So then somehow I got empowerment and I spoke about Bhagavad Gita. And after that, I was so full and happy, and I didn't want to take any prasadam also, but I was so happy. I felt very blissful. So just wanted to share with you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for always guiding us
Yeah,
and showing your mercy to me.
Yeah, that's Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Very inspiring, Srimati. Thank you so much. Any questions from devotees? Any thoughts? Marsh, I have one question. And when you spoke about Swakiya and Parakiya, and Parakiya being the lawless love, and then you said that lawless love cannot be executed or practiced, or it doesn't, have it can't work in the material world because it's. I'm trying to find the word. I think I took notes because it is degraded. So Maharaj, is in a devotional community, in a spiritual community, how can we? I'm thinking more about the principle by Bhaktitirtha Swami, where he says, give love or share love with everyone just as much as you love your beloved. But at the same time, we also know that there is this parakiya that doesn't exist in the material world. And at the same time, there's Vaishnava etiquette. So how can we really tie all these three up, Maharaj, and still stay within our boundaries?
How can we, what are the three things? The Vaishnava etiquette?
The Vaishnava etiquette and thinking about Bhaktitirtha Swami's one of his 4 principles, love one another just as much as you love your beloved, and the lawless love concept, the parakiya.
Parakiya has no foundation in the material world. It's considered to be sinful, at least by moral and religious standards. Of course, nowadays people don't follow anything, but amongst the devotees, they should understand that, yeah, you can't do that because it is not. Prabhupada said, stay with one wife, do not get divorced, and practice your Krishna consciousness, and remain faithful to your vows. So yeah, this desire to enjoy outside of our particular relationship can cause devotee to fall down. Therefore, we have 4 regulative principles. We follow those 4. They're called regulative principles of freedom because they free us from the entanglement of material energy. They're also called 4 regulative principles of knowledge because they guide us towards Krishna. So yeah, all we have to do is follow the process. What goes on in the wrong way cannot be accepted as standard. Sometimes you'll see that when something goes on in the wrong way for a long time, it becomes acceptable, but not in Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada set a strong foundation by through books, through his lectures, and through the examples that he gave in his personal life. So everything is there. All we have to do is learn and follow. Just like I was listening to Chidi Shakti today. She was basically saying, she was talking about Guru Tattva. It's a lecture she gave about more than a year ago. And what she was saying was that you have to understand that when you come in contact with the spiritual master, you should be ready to change. You have to give up your own ideas, what is best, and you have to be willing to make changes in your life. That's what's required. Developing that relationship with Krishna means meeting Krishna through the spiritual master. And that means you have to change the way you think and the way you act. It's all about developing higher consciousness through accepting higher principles. And therefore, we have to change. For some of us, that change is easy, and some of it is not easy. For some, it appears to be impossible. But that's what it's required. Can't stay the way you are and expect to advance in spiritual life. You have to change.
And Maharaj, then I'm trying to add one more question to my point that I asked just now, Maharaj. Then, how can we, as devotees in a spiritual community, love one another as we love our loved ones, but still maintain the etiquette or the boundaries or our ashrams? Like, how can we?
Love needs to be defined. What is love? Love means to serve in a way that is pleasing to the object that you're serving. Love means to put your own ideas aside for the benefit of someone else. Love means to know what will please and elevate another person in spiritual life and focus on that. Therefore, Prabhupada explained, according to Srila Rupa Goswami's explanation in Nectar of Instructions, the 6 exchanges of love. Speaking confidential and hearing one's confidential thoughts, giving gifts and receiving gifts, and taking prasadam and distributing prasadam. These are the 6 things. There's a very extensive purport in the 4th verse of Nectar of Instructions describes in detail what these things are. We also have seminars based on these 6 loving exchanges. So yeah, unless devotees develop friendly and loving relationships, we remain simply a group of people together. We're not actually a community or a sangha. But sometimes people think love means some kind of physical thing, but that's not necessarily true. Love means to do something for the benefit of others, which will help that person. I see what you need, and I can help you achieve that, or I can give it to you. And then I make an effort to do that. That's love. And love also means to cooperate, to give up one's own personal ideas of what benefit, and cooperate for a higher principle, the instructions of the spiritual master. To work together as a group, and not simply as a bunch of individuals who have their own ideas on how things should go on.
Thank you, Maharaj. This question was asked of me from one of our young youth. Well, not young, but a youth. So I wanted to just get a clearer clarification on that. Thank you so much. That really helped, Maharaj. Sri Devi Mataji, please go ahead.
I was just trying to share what Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj had told me himself when I asked this very same question in class in Gita Nagari. I was very new, and this concept of we must love everyone, give love to everyone, share love with everyone. So I said, so Guru Maharaj, does it mean we must love everyone? So he just looked at me and he said, yes, but we should not be naive and allow ourselves to get abused. Because I think Guru Maharaj could see how new I was and how naive I was. So he also warned me that one must be careful, which is exactly what he was saying about Vaishnava etiquette, about maintaining healthy boundaries, about being careful and using one's discretion and all those things. So just wanted to share them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. Thank you.
That's right to the point.
Thank you so much. Any questions from devotees? This is a really nice topic, really nice questions. Yeah, very, very deep verse, very deep. Any other questions from devotees? Any thoughts, any clarification? Yes, Sridevi, go right ahead. I love your questions.
I'm getting so enthused just by you discussing this with Guru Maharaj and Guru Maharaj's wonderful answers. I can't help myself.
Please ask.
really-
This is my opportunity to be greedy.
I'm very grateful for whatever discussions are taking place because, you know, Srila Prabhupada said our society is built on love and trust. If we don't find it here and if we don't arrange for devotees to find it here, what future do we have? How can we attract and keep the people we have, and how can we attract more people? So we really have to make that effort to give love, receive love, have loving exchanges, have loving, healthy relationships. This is really the foundation for our own progress and for the progress of the movement. So, Anastasia, you will be happy to know that, and you're welcome to join us in our discussions with Guru Maharaj's blessings. We are talking about an eco-village project in Mayapur. I'm sharing this with you because this is so dear to Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj also, and you also have a lot of experience at Gita Nagari. So Srimati will share more with you later on. I don't want to take up too much of Guru Maharaj's time here, but you know, Parijata and several others are involved. We'll keep you posted, and you're welcome to join in the discussions.
Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I can pull my husband in it because I think in terms of being on the grounds in Gita Nagari, he has more experience. I was always in the kitchen.
I'm definitely in. I'm listening to all of this. I am definitely in. Without a doubt.
But
About
thank
this,
you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, let's
I
go on.
couldn't
I'll
forget-
join the
I
chat
couldn't
for sure.
forget you, Parikshit Prabhu. I was remembering Satyam soap. Just today morning, I was thinking so many aspects of the eco village, you know, making our own soap, making our own agarbattis, making our own gobar gas, you know, just making ourselves self-sufficient and living very simply, very naturally in harmony with Mother Earth, making time for chanting Hare Krishna instead of having such a frenetic, frenzied, stressed lifestyle, and just having a haven. Even if devotees cannot come to live, but at least they can come and visit. At least they can take a break. At least somebody, you know, can feel, okay, here's a home where we can come and be together as God family. So I was remembering Parikshit Maharaj Satyam soaps.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, the 4 minutes a day. I still make one. I still make soap.
I'm
Yeah,
going to call on you,
at
Prabhu.
home.
We used to give soap to Candramauli Swami when he used to
Yes.
come visit Gita Nagari. I think it was the citrus or the chamomile. I
No.
forgot which one. Okay, he
No, it
remembers
was
it.
a honey oatmeal.
It was the honey
The honey
oatmeal.
oatmeal.
That's right.
Maharaj, if I can tell a joke about this, Maharaj look at the ingredients on it on the label. And he said, "Well, you have honey, you have oatmeal. Can you eat it?" I said, "No." I was just joking about it. But it's genuine though. We're putting in those actual items. But of course, you know, the what makes a soap too has to be put in, which is the
I really like the chamomile.
See,
okay.
I thought so. I
Okay.
remember that.
Chamomile rosewood, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
I
very good
remember
one,
Maharaj
too.
used to like that, the camel rosewood. I remember that, yeah.
I could
You
see-
bathe with it, it takes your acne. If you have acne, just
I
gone.
can still
Just
see
like
that
that.
bar of soap with the package, everything. I used to get chamomile.
Mm.
That's what Maharaj used to get, was the chamomile rosewood. I remember that, yeah. But thank you for involving us today. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much.
Yes.
It's an absolute joy, and I'm sharing it out of greediness because I want you guys on board. I'm selfish.
We
Well,
have
I'm
to
in,
be-
speaking for myself, that's for sure. I'm in.
Yeah, we have to be greedy, right, to grab the mercy. If not, it's going to walk by us. Thank you.
Just to add one more thing, and I offer this to my Guru Maharaj's Lotus Feet Guru Maharaj, you will be so happy to know that Gauranga Prabhu of Govardhan Eco Village has very kindly and graciously said that he will be happy to help us.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
And Sri Devi, this is happening. This project is in Govardhan, you said, in Govardhan Eco Village? I'm trying
No,
to.
we want to do something like Govardhan Eco Village, but we want it in Mayapur, which
Oh,
is
you did say Mayapur. That's right.
world
Sorry.
headquarters of ISKCON, where there isn't any single Eco Village project, really speaking, what the name. There are buildings and more buildings and more buildings and more buildings. But where's the farm produce? Where's the self-sufficiency? Where's the community? I mean, all kinds of things are happening in Mayapur, but we want other things to happen.
Yes, I've heard that. Thank you.
We're in the
Very good
team
point.
building phase right now. We're
Nice.
trying to get like-minded people who are sincerely and seriously invested in this idea and who believe that we can come together and do something. That's what we are looking for commitment. Sorry, I'm taking up too much of Guru Maharaj's
It's
time.
okay.
I'll contact you
Hare
separately.
Krishna. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
The
Any
idea-
other? Yes, Marge,
the
please go
idea
ahead, Marge.
is in line with Srila Prabhupada's vision for our society. Mhm. Mhm. If you come to Govardhan Eco Village here, you'll see something quite miraculous in terms of what is already here and how it's actually growing from day to day. I travel around the area here where I am, and there's buildings going up, there's gardens being excavated and planted, there's flower programs developing. There's 18 new buildings that they have lined up to construct within the next couple of years. So things are just keeps moving and keep expanding, and the environment is ideal here. And of course, growing. A lot of the food that we take here is grown here. Most of it, not all of it, but it's gradually becoming to that level. Deity worship is of high quality. Everything is done in a very exemplary way. It's very basic in many ways, but it is actually expanding out. We're here on the weekend now, it's Saturday. And this is when we have so many guests coming. So we get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of guests who come. They come for 1 or 2 days. Today I saw there was a group of about 50 people. They were feeding the cows. And I was just watching them. They were having a good time, just petting the cows and feeding the cows. We have more than 100 cows here. And that's just one of the activities that they can engage in. There's so many other activities, places where they can, relax and just enjoy the environment. And the buildings are all ecologically sound and developed. And of course, the highlight is the Vrindavan forest. The Govardhan is there, and Jamuna is there, and all of the pastime places of Krishna, along with 7 major temples in a more of a smaller size development is there. I mean, this place is unbelievably unique. It's really, really unique, and it's growing really, really nicely because it has expert guidance, and there are many people who are supporting the project in different ways. So yeah, you have to come and see it and get an insight, and then that would be a foundation for doing something similar. You have to come and spend maybe a week or 2 there and just see how everything is going on. They make their own bricks here. And these bricks are used to build the houses that we're sitting in. There's hardly any metal in the house. There's no metal, there's no aluminum. The only metal is the latches and the doors and the windows. That's about it. The floor is all wood. All the walls are made out of brick. The ceilings are made out of brick. So it's brick and wood, mostly everything. You have to see it really, and it's amazing how luxurious it looks too. Although it's simple in essence, it has all the opulence that are comfort and are different.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Just hearing you speak about it, it's like we feel like we are being transported in this magical airplane. Thank you so much. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much. Any other questions from devotees? Anything coming to your mind? Any thoughts, clarification? Please do ask. Raise your hand, or you can just jump right in. If I don't catch you. Such a wonderful discussion, and it's so nice to have these discussions. It's so sweet. We all learn from each other, and we benefit from each other's questions. Something that we may not have thought about, and we get inspired. So thank you. And if there are no questions, Maharaj, would you like to end with a round of chanting, Maharaj?
I'll be right back.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, so Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Krishna, Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. 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 Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. 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 Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. 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 Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. 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 Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class and really taking us to this journey of this beautiful verse. And we thank the devotees for joining us. Vanshaka Privyascha, Kripasindabevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah.
Jai.
His Holiness
Hare
Candramauli Swami ki.
Yeah.
Jai.
Jai.
Have a wonderful day, devotees. Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
Guru Maharaj
Yes.
is trying to
Hare
say
Krishna.
something.
Oh, wait. Don't leave. Nobody.
I have an announcement. I have an announcement.
Sorry, Maharaj.
Okay. The announcement is that the devotees from New Jersey have asked me to do a class tomorrow for Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. I believe in America tomorrow they celebrate his appearance day or disappearance day.
Yes, Maharaj.
I haven't finalized everything yet, but I'm trying to finalize it, and we will combine that class with our class. The Srimati, I believe, is online, so please take note.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Let you know all the details in due course of time, and then you can announce it. It'll probably be a half hour later than the normal class, which means just add a half hour to your time zone, and the class will start then. Until I get all of the final information, including the Zoom link, this is what is in place so far. So just be ready for the final information, and that'll come and I can get it. So.
Guru